What's up, guys? Casey and George back with the Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel, just like we are every single Tuesday, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on Facebook and YouTube. It'll be out on podcast form later. If you can't be with us live, we hope you listen to it a little bit later, one way, shape, or form. But as always, we got to thank the people who allow this to be 100% free to everybody every single week. TSR Racing Products. Go over there, get your Power Glide, Turbo 350, Turbo 400, 727 transmissions, parts, and accessories, and get a complete transmission if you don't know how to do it yourself. If you don't know how to do it yourself, by the way, they got a real nice manual for everything, kind of telling you how to walk yourself through everything. Man, I can tell you, I can attest. In fact, it might actually be right here back behind me, George. That manual is 100% the way that I learned how to rebuild a transmission. So get it through it's a lot cheaper than labor, I can assure you that. BRG 3D printed parts, anything you can't find elsewhere, Brian Garrett can make it with the newest CAD software, 3D printed out for you and get it in the mail for you for this weekend going racing. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas for your stickers, banners, apparel, accessories, anything that you need to get your point across as far as you being a racer or a race team. Contact Greg Duffield over there at Syntex Printing. He'll get your order in. Driven Racing Oil, the best methanol oil, hands down. Again, compatible with methanol. Use the code GBR10. Get yourself 10% off your order. Proform Parts, we'll talk about them a little while later, but visit proformparts.com for your carburetors, in particular, alternators, starters, radiators, fans, distributors, tools, much, much more on proformparts.com. And, of course, this time of year, with all the weather we've had going on, it would be nice to have Crew Chief Pro software. Contact Don Higgins over there. He'll hook you up. If you can't figure out your dial-in, Don will figure it out for you with Crew Chief Pro software. George, what's going on, man? What'd you do this weekend?
Man, I was out with old Mo, and Mo was on a tear. Let me tell you that real fast before I get to moving too far down. And just as you mentioned, that old Crew Chief Pro software had me dialed in pretty good. Called me right off the box within the thou, right off the trailer, and I thought it would get slower. Crew Chief said no, it won't, and I followed it and was right on again. Let's just say taking 15 take 30 is probably not going to be any good when you're 0008 under. Okay, yeah, one of those, just chalk it up to I couldn't find him. I turned around and didn't see him. He must have been in my blind spot. I'm sitting on the left side, so, there's just a little tiny blind spot between, the side of the truck and where that other car was. When I looked, I didn't see him, so I didn't turn back around. I did lift a little bit, but just not enough to get me another 0008 more, and I'd have been good and safe there. So needless to say, I bought back and continued on racing. Ended up being a pretty good night. I'm gonna say some things after I get done here, letting you know what else happened with Mo, Casey, that might be a little bit of a challenge towards Galat from Extreme Raceway Park. I'll be back. So getting the second round, and I think I was 15 up front again or something like that. I crushed it though, so I knew I was good. And running a 450 dragster, and man, I didn't even turn around and look. I'm gonna be honest. I just kind of made a blind run. I said I was good on the tree. I got right before the Monarch cone and just got off the gas. Took 008 and went one above 5. I knew I was decent. I don't care where you were. I'm not going under this time, is what I said in my head. And so I got that win. Well, I come back into the pits. I'm rolling around with old Mo. I probably got one arm up and kind of bouncing a little bit because I'm happy, and in a good mood. And man, I go to turn into my pit, and I heard a loud pop, just loud. And so I'm thinking to myself, what the heck was that? And my wife's out there. I said, did you hear that? And she was like, yeah, and it was loud. And I found a washer on the ground, too. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I back up the car, drive around for a second, didn't hear anything. I mean, didn't hear nothing. No pops, no grinds, no nothing. Didn't hear anything. And my mind said, of course, that was too loud of a pop. Let me go ahead and jack this bad boy up and see what's going on the front wheel. I knew it was on the right side, so I went and moved it, and I could wobble it. And I'm like, that ain't good. I went on the other side, just for a reference. I went on the other side and tried to wobble it, and it didn't move. And when it didn't move, I said, well, my day is done. And needless to say, Mr. Veals, out of Veals' performance, man, he can build a heck of an engine, by the way. We'll get into that more as GBR continues. But if you're in the Texas area, Mr. Veals, he's pretty good at the old engines as well. And Vince Taylor, GBR follower, GBR dragster, kicking some butt out here in Extreme 2, but came over and said, hey, man, you broke the rack. So, yeah, my rack's broke on the truck, and looks like I'll be replacing that, Casey. So that's my weekend.
Yeah, hey, for things going bad, they went well because ultimately, if that would have happened while you were going down the track, that could have been a whole lot worse. So, somebody's looking out for you, I guess.
Could have been bad. Could have been bad. So, thankfully, Lord's looking out. My wife was there to be a second pair of ears as well. And we got we're good to go, and Mo's in one piece minus a rack. So, I'm okay with that outcome. All in all, though, I will tell you, Casey, the shark pool that I had to swim in at Extreme Raceway Park this past weekend, was all but that. There might have been sharks and barracudas and killer whales. I don't care what you call them. It was some heavy hitters out there, from the Gliddies to Caroline McCarty to I think we counted 3 or 4 world champions out there in about 125 entry Super Pro top bulb field. That, man, the racing was nuts. I think I heard probably 3 perfect packs, and I probably heard 3 1 packs to follow that up. And I ain't even gonna try to guess how many low sub hundo packages I heard. So I'm putting Extreme Raceway Park up against Galata at any point in time y'all ready.
Hey man, it'd be cool to see a runoff between them. I can tell you that would be a very interesting. That would be a very interesting race to have. But of course, then we'd have everybody complaining, "Well, my track can do this, my track can do that." And then guess what? After it's all said and done, we got the OG million. All of a sudden, the best of the best all showing up to race. So, ultimately, it's there's all stars everywhere, I guess, is what you'd want to say. But this time of year, man, it seems like there's been so many. I was just telling you earlier, I'm so glad that I went to Wayne County Drag Strip and went racing on Friday, because I was debating whether I was going to race Friday or if I was going to race Saturday or if I was going to do both or whatever. And I was like, well, I'll just go down there. I haven't been down there in a while. Went down there and, good thing I did. I got to 11 cars until I ran into old Jaws, man. That old boy is, last time I asked Jaws, everybody in North Carolina knows who I'm talking about. Last time I raced Jaws, I asked him, I said, how many runs you got on this car? He's got an old Mopar. And he said, oh, I can't remember if he said 30 or 35, but he said, oh, I got about 30, 35 years worth. So anyway, Jaws knows the car. He's probably made more laps down that track than anybody I know. He always picks on me. He can't ever let me get by him for a round. So hopefully I can stay away from him, because I think Eddie's racing on Friday night there again. So I'm going to go run down there, which is nice, man, because whenever it's 110 degrees outside, as far as what the weather feels like, it sure is nice to be able to run on Friday night, at least for me, because I'm only about 20 minutes away from there. So they start, I think last week they started time runs at about 6:45, 7 o'clock. So the sun's starting to go down. You basically make your time runs when the sun's setting, and then you're racing in the dark. And yeah, it's still hot outside, but it's not like when the sun's up, man. And there was a good turnout there, man. There was actually a Skyline GTR there testing and tuning. I promise you that thing was probably going at least 550s. It was blowing flames out when it shifted and everything. That's like $175,000 car, like street car.
Right.
This isn't a race car; it's a street car. But they're having a big. I don't know if it's a no prep race or just a small tire race. So there'll probably be a lot of really cool stuff testing tuning there this weekend too, because next weekend is that big small tire event. And there were some people that you see like on 1320 video and stuff like that out there. So real deal street race cars out there. There was a Datsun out there that I was standing there with my buddy Adam Booya. We're standing here and we hear this thing tear out of the starting line and leaving, and it's hauling. And I was like, man, that boy better lift, because if he doesn't lift, he's going off the end here. I think he ran it to about 400 foot. But that thing, by the sounds of it, is capable of going at least 470s, probably 450s.
Right.
It's pretty wild, man. You never know what you're going to see out there. It's definitely spectator friendly. They had a really good food truck in there this weekend, and the old Proform carburetor, man, it was repeating like crazy. I can tell you that.
I heard that, man. That's what I wanted to hear anyway. You know, I knew you'd been fine tuning that thing for some time now, and guess you finally got it where you wanted. I know the car had been deadly with it just out of the box, but there was just a few things that you wanted to adjust on it. You have the Proform 950, if I'm not right?
Mm-hmm.
950. Yeah. So out of the box, it was pretty good right off the box.
Yeah, it was just a little fat, which, I mean, if you have to be honest, that's the way you want them. That's probably how they set them up from the factory, is a little fat, because if it's fat, it isn't going to blow anything up, you know? Right. So, you know, and you got to think about the fact that they're going to send a carburetor to North Carolina. They're going to send another one. Same carburetor is going to go to Colorado. Well, right. It's two totally different realms. If you optimize it for Colorado, it's going to be super lean in North Carolina. And you don't want lean. Lean's bad. You know, lean's good to an extent, but it gets bad real fast.
Yeah, that makes sense. So definitely, that's pretty neat, man. And shouts out to Proform. Looks like it's coming out of the box pretty good. So you had nothing to worry about there, fellas. So yeah, there's a lot going on this weekend. I know a lot of people are watching our YouTube and Facebook channel. I've put up a couple of things coming up. It looks like Gleghorn is finally going to get his chance to shine at the old 23 bracket series out at Texas Motorplex. I mean, he's had from anywhere between bad weather, maybe a little few tornadoes, or maybe even a hurricane, who knows, roll up on that kid to make him have to cancel races, and this is one that he's going to have to cancel. Well, we are ready to go with GBR Media, and we will bring this race to you live starting Saturday at 10 a.m. Would love to see everybody get a chance to step in, maybe give us some feedback on what's all going on as far as for sound and things of that nature, and maybe even ideas on camera angles, who knows. Take it easy on me, I'm a rookie. But as always, I will take this time and any other time I get a chance to thank Mark and Joanne out of Motor Mania TV, teaching me what I know, putting faith in me to take care, take care of my end of the bargain and bring races to the racers and fans for the free. You're not going to see us go behind any type of a paywall. You're not going to see us do anything like that, because I love drag racing. This is what we need in our sport, as we will get into talking about a little bit more within this stream. So definitely going to be interesting. Be sure to tune in, like, and share if you see that post. I'd like to get as many people as possible. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, that'd be a great time to subscribe, because you won't be able to chat if you're not subscribed. So hope to be able to hear from all of you. Casey, man, I want to take this time as well to get into a few other races we got going on. As you all know, TB's going to be having that race up at Killcare, which I will continue to talk about, because it's just a really good and well put together race. TB Promotions has been doing a heck of a job thinking about the racer, whatever class it may be. It could be the Class Racers Revival that's now scheduled to go, I think, a couple of days after a divisional at Gateway, which is going to be an absolute hit, in my opinion. Great thought process, guys, having that race right there. This $50,000 has got some 25. It's got two 25s of 50 and a warm-up race within this particular event. Motor Mania will be on the premises to stream it all live to you. I want to say there might be about 35 or 30 or 35 entries left, guys. You got a little bit more time to get in there, but I'm telling you, you better get in now, because it's going to fill. I don't think there's anything else going on around that race as well. So it's a special thanks out to TB Promotions for always putting a racer first. Got Del Pelage Memorial Thanksgiving 10K is also coming down the pipeline closer towards Thanksgiving. Get out there and run for 10 each day. Want to say the weekend entry might be about $400. I'm pretty sure I'm right as I'm looking at the flyer, and that's going to be a box entry. No box is $300. So definitely get out there if you're in the area and don't have anything to do for that particular race. Casey, coming back to you, man, as we begin our show. I know we got a few topics that we want to get into, as my camera stalled a little bit there. I have to apologize. What you got, man?
Well, I guess one thing that I kind of wanted to shine light on because everybody kind of keeps, and it is negative, but everybody keeps saying, oh, all these tracks are closing, the sport's dying. Well, first of all, they say that every single year, man. Uh, so that is what it is. But GBR isn't a show where we just sit here and talk about negatives all the time because, yeah, bad things happen. That sucks. But ultimately, whenever Brett Kepner was on our show, I don't know, maybe this time last year. If you go back and look at the episodes, there's a playlist. You go to GBR, we've had like 120 something, 130 some episodes by now. But Brett Kepner is in the guest interviews area of that list. And he actually said, what everybody calls the good old days and everything, where it seemed like in the 90s, it seems like everybody goes back to the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s. That's the good old days. He said, actually, there's a lot more tracks that are operational right now in the U.S., or at least just as many as there were back then. So we're still in the good old days over here, not to mention bracket racing and racing in general, drag racing in general is getting more publicity now and easier to get the word out about drag racing, especially with Street Outlaws, things like that going on, and Facebook and YouTube shows like this that are on every single week. We're in the good old days right now. If everybody would just try to see that, yes, while tracks closing is not good, but there are still tracks opening, believe it or not. There are people buying other tracks. There are people that are selling the tracks to people who will still keep operating the tracks. And just because things are bad in one area doesn't mean they are in another area. And to be quite honest with you, the reason I came to North Carolina was because that's where all the racetracks were, and that's where kind of the central hub for racing was, and that's what I wanted to do. And that is literally the reason why I picked moving here. And I know that's not an option for everybody, but if it ever got terrible, it's a haven of motorsports out in North Carolina, man. So,
Come on now.
ultimately, if that's what you want to do, then sometimes you have to move there. It's kind of like all these guys that run Formula One people and everything. They take their kids that show promise in go-karts and they move to France or something like that, and yeah, that's crazy. But we're talking about staying in the United States here.
Yeah, true. Yeah, man, it's just a lot, like you said, a lot of negativity going around, and you get the chance to find, every now and then, let's look at the positives out of it, and we'll talk about the reasoning behind it as a whole in the first place. It's just it's very optimal for purchases right now. But take a look at Central Illinois Dragway, for crying out loud. A track that has announced before it is time to lay asphalt. Well, guess what they're doing? Some people are closing doors. Central Illinois Dragway is putting down floors. If you want me to be honest with you, you can definitely move a whole lot better since they've paved, I think, all the way from the ET shack all the way up to kind of get rid of a bottleneck that they had, or a congestion right around that old the concession stand area. So I know they asked I think I read an article where it said they asked the racers to move up just a little bit more into their spots, but there's plenty of room to do that too. So keep an eye on things that are, we're doing things in the sport that are good. Unfortunately, there are things that are happening inside the sport that might be bad for said area, and I think it's just prime time for someone to say, hey, I want to buy your piece of land, and here's a lot of money to do it. And on top of that, I know we're the racer, but if we were the owner and somebody was just so happens to lay $5 million into your pocket, are you going to not think about it? It's a toss-up, guys. It's a toss-up. So business is business in the grand scheme of things, Casey.
And I actually just listened to a podcast, actually a really, really good podcast. I listen to specific drag racing versions of it, but it's one of Cletus McFarland. It's one of his guys that he started out all his stuff with. His name's Cooper. I think his last name is Bogatti or something like that. But anyway, he's got a podcast now, and he actually just interviewed him on his newest podcast. And Cletus owns the Freedom Factory. And everybody was, everybody knows what was happening with that in Bradenton. I think it's Bradenton. I'm not 100% certain that's right next door to them. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, I don't look into it that far. But sure. The fact is, Cletus said, people were worried about his track because all those housing developments were coming in around him. And he said, honestly, all that's going to do is make my property value go up. And he said, what I would do is, he said, for the next 10 years, I'm going to operate this, and Victor Alvarez is going to operate the other track. And he said they've decided if the property value goes high enough, what they'll end up doing is they'll build a new track, and they're just going to say, whenever this track is fully operational, we'll sell it, and we'll make a whole bunch of money off this land that's right there. And then we'll just have another track. But they said they won't do anything until a track's operational. So that's good for all the people in Florida, because I know that's a really big hub. Those places, Freedom Factory is literally right next to, I want to say it's Bradenton Motorsports Park. Like, it's one person owns essentially the circle track, the other person owns the drag strip. So that's good for all those Florida people.
Right. And it's kind of the same thing going on with Bandimere too. I know that we got to watch I think it was last week, the last mile, Mopar Mile High National, or on the mountain, whatever they call it nowadays. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And everybody knows, I believe, that Bandimere and them are going to build a new track out by the airport, So yes, there are things that are happening, but that doesn't mean there isn't a brighter a light at the end of the tunnel, should I say. So there's something on the horizon. And I saw another article, I think, Casey, that I'd like to bring up and maybe even dispel a little bit of a thought process behind racetracks being business savvy and allowing for Ford Motor Company or Toyota or whoever in the heck motor company to park their newer vehicles on the track surface or around the track surface for a set amount of money. If I'm not mistaken, those people pay per car to park on your lot per day at that. And you can't tell me that operating a racetrack is going to bring in that amount of money. At one point, I want to say Gateway had 300 or 400 cars sitting out there. If you're making even $50 a day, $100 a day, you're raking in some serious cheddar to cheese if that's what you are loaning your track out for during the down times. So let's be wise about it. This track needs a little extra income and has a lot of space. Why wouldn't you allow someone to park on it? I think I'm talking about Joliet is what I saw last, Casey. What are your thoughts on that? It just seems like business smart.
Well, I mean, ultimately, I just ran quick math just off of the $50 a day, 350 cars. That's $17,500 every single day. That doesn't cost you anything to do it. So the ultimate solution to that is go support your track if you don't want them to close.
Yeah. Really. Go support them, and then go support them even more. Mess around and be racing for $10,000 just because they're doing it. Okay, hey, man. There's a surplus of money coming in from that. $17,000 a day. Yes, please.
And that reminds me that there's a new SFG race that's going to Capital City. That's a 20 for, I believe, $450. And I started looking back, and I started looking through their pictures of this year where they publicized their personal races. Did you know that Capital City actually has like I want to say it was a 50, 150 that does not involve a promoter?
Wow.
Like that's their race.
Wow.
That's what tracks need to be doing, is stuff like that, if you can support it.
Now, I know that Capital City is under new management. I don't know who actually is that person now.
It's done.
It's already done. Okay, I got you. Now, that's pretty neat. I've got that flyer here for SFG too. And as a matter of fact, you're probably going to see a GBR sighting at this race. Yeah, me and old Mo, I think we're going to make the trip on over to Capital City. I want to say it's about 10 hours out of here. I've already got my entry into this one, guys. And so if you're getting ready to... If you're racing this time of year and you skip this one, it's going to be interesting. For $450 entry fee to run for 20-40-20 with an SFG structured event, knowing good and well there's probably going to be some type of round money to go along with that as well. So, man, you guys,
there is round money as far as what I can tell, because I counted up whenever you were first telling me you were going. And the way I see it is it's $100 for the 20s and it's $250 for the 40. And I think it's like 150 round money. If you get to fourth round, it starts the round money. It's 150 for round money in the 20s and like 200, I think, in the 40. So if old George can get over here and just get to fourth round every day and just mosey on through, makes $50.
Hey man, I'll tell you what, this This is going to be a heck of a race, is all I got to tell you. I'm not for sure if there's anything else even around that particular date that I'm aware of. I have to look through my notes here a little bit better to understand fully, but I just don't think there's nothing there. So, man, what a race is all I got to tell you for that amount of money. Definitely looking forward to it. I've been to a couple SFG events before, and looking like this is going to be another one.
And I saw while I was looking through that also that Capital City's post from like yesterday, I want to say, it says AccuTime is here or something like that.
New
So
timing system.
so there should be. I know Great American is having a really big race there, like their 500 grander is going to be there. Like I said, Capital City has a bunch of their big stuff. I know everybody was complaining about Capital City after the million there last year, after the OG, but it seems like with Kyle Riley with SFG, Britton Galen with GABR, if they're willing to put their name behind it, I think that Capital City is a place to go to. I know Big Jed was talking up Capital City really big, and I think that I mean, clearly, if they're putting a new timing system in, man, they're doing everything they can to make these go off without a hitch, and the promoters are behind them, and be great to see some great racing there.
Yeah, no question about it. Hey, Brendan Freeman, thanks for the comment there. Looks like Montgomery is getting a new timing system as well. You know, it's a great place to bring out these types of things and enhancements that are happening to our racetracks, especially in like we said before. And neither one of us are going to continue to beat a dead horse here, guys. We're going to find the good out of the situation, no matter what. So, got a lot on the horizon, from IHRA bringing back the old IHRA with the rod classes to big money races continuing to surge, beginning to maneuver our way back to the low budget big money races. Yeah, they're still big money, even though they're lower budget. They're big money. You know, you can double the SFG race for the amount of entry that it will cost to race other races. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so we got more to go here in a little bit, and we're gonna jump to a commercial break. And remember to hit that like, share, subscribe button. Again, if you're new on that YouTube side, make sure you subscribe over there so we can see you chat. Be right back to you. Don't go anywhere.
TSR Racing Products has everything you need to make your Power Glide Turbo 350, Turbo 400, and 727 transmissions the best they can be on the street or at the track. With exceptional products, customer service, and over 30 years of experience, TSR Racing Products is always available to help their customers with any of their transmission needs. In-house machining ensures you only receive the best products from TSR Racing. Visit TSR Racing Products at tsr-racing.com or give them a call at 800-394-5889.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
Innovation never sleeps at Proform, and we're making our popular Black Race Series carburetors even better by adding new features that will set them apart from the competition. Some of the newest features include a newly designed main body with contoured Venturas for better airflow and a new inside and outside two-step down leg boosters for increased atomization and better throttle response. Also, newly designed fuel bowls with increased internal baffling for better fuel control and the lower fuel ramp for reduced turbulence. There are also some new upgrades to point out. The fuel bowls now both include nitrofill floats, and the throttle base plate now has slabbed shafts for better airflow. These new features, combined with the fully adjustable high-flow main body with screw-in air bleeds, billet metering blocks, high-performance billet throttle base plate, and aluminum fuel bowls with sight glass windows, makes for a great street strip carburetor that packs a punch.
All right, all right. Going Bracket Racing community, welcome back. Thanks for being with us. As always, big shout out Proform, BRG, Crew Chief Pro, TSR Racing Products, Ken Jones Performance, Driven Racing Oil, Syntex Printing, Team 14 Motorsports, and those boys over at Your Ad Here. Man, I tell you, they have an awesome customer service base. Whatever you need, I'm pretty sure that they can get it to you. The guys at Your Ad Here. Message us for more information. Casey, coming back out of the commercial break, man, what you got for us?
No, do we dare to play what Alan just sent me a voice text because he doesn't like to actually text. You want to just play it and see what he said?
Just play it, man. What did he say?
It could be bad. You never know. We might have to bleep it out later, but we'll see.
Just finished cutting the grass. Hell yeah.
He just
evidently,
the grass, huh?
Cutting the grass, coming in to listen to some Going Bracket Racing, I guess, man. So now he'll be famous on there. He'll like that.
Right.
But,
right.
Yeah, man. No, I've just been trying to do this. I guess I finally went in and I'm going to try to do the foot brake thing for the rest of this season, man, because like I said on our last show, something that I really want to do because Bristol's not terribly far away. One of my bucket list races or whatever, however we said it the other day, one of my bucket list races is to go to the WFC because I've always heard good things about it. I want to race at Bristol. And I've never heard a bad thing about the WFC, and it's cheap and affordable for everybody to go to. So that would be the main race to go. It's like the OG Million of foot brake. And but I got to learn to foot brake first, it seems. So I've been messing around with that. I started last weekend. I ran the first half of the year on top, and now I'm going to run the last half of the year off the bottom. I kind of, I'm building my fast car. My fast car is going to be a high maintenance type deal. And I want to still be able to kind of focus funds on that car to run top sportsman type stuff with high HRA and things like that. Maybe Southern Outlaw, Top Sportsman, PDRA, stuff like that whenever I can. But of course, I can't afford to do that every single weekend. And in order to fund both sides of the, I guess you'd call it the racing team, then I need to sacrifice over here. And the easiest way to do that is just foot brake the Nova because it's pretty much half price to do so. It's easier on equipment. It's everything about it is cheap. And especially whenever Nahuna's open, you go race at Nahuna for $40. I know Lorenzo Martin's over here in the chat. I know that Lorenzo knows all about Nahuna. You go over there, man, you race for $40 and you can buy back first and second round for $20 more. You get in and out of there for $80 in your worst case scenario. And you still run, 2-time runs, first round, second round, third round. If you don't even win a round, you still made 6 passes and it's $80. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately it's it's just a cheaper option. That's what foot brake's for,
True statement. And I apologize to some of you guys. I'm doing a little bit of work in the back end as well with old Barn, one of our moderators there. We're gonna try to add the old Nightbot to GBR community to kind of keep a little things in order there. So if you see me doing some things in the background, but Casey, man, I'm actually intrigued by the idea myself. And I was talking to I think it was Scooter Hamlin's father there, and mentioned to him that I wouldn't mind figuring out how to I don't want to race with a button when I do it. I definitely want a foot brake. So we're going to have a pair of top bubbers at least have the ability to do both, because I'm going to take my shot at that too. I'm going to have to go to a test and tune, even though the box is still in the car, and just just foot brake that bad boy. I just don't want to pull any RPMs up against that converter, man. Is that how you took care of it? Did you have to come up against the converter, or you just going at dead idle?
No, I was stalling it up. It's that's the only way you can really. You're just using it as a mechanical delay box, essentially. My thing was, as soon as I turned 16, I started running top, so I haven't hit the bottom, as far as really racing off the bottom. I go to Wayne County, a couple times a year, stuff like that. But I don't go primarily foot brake racing, so I don't have a lot of experience in it. I can tell you right now, man, these foot brake racers are no joke. Like there's a lot of times where you'll have it's just like top bulb racing, man. Some of these foot brake racers, I've seen a couple runs this year where one guy's perfect on the tree, the other guy's one red, or the other guy's perfect on the tree, another guy's like two red or two green or something like that. They're throwing down top bulb runs and bottom bulb, and you know how I am, man. Like I don't show up somewhere just to experience it or just to race or whatever. If I'm going to be competitive. And I'm not saying I'm the guy that's going to go out there and I'm going to win the whole race, but I'm saying I'm going out there and I'm not going to be a duck. If somebody beats me, they're going to beat me. And
Right.
that's just how I've always done it. So, like I said, I'm not just going to go to the WFC to experience the WFC. I'm going to go to the WFC trying to win the WFC. So basically, I've decided if I'm going to do that, the only way to get better is to go do it. And I'm probably going to suck for a while, but one day I'm going to figure it out and it's going to be on.
Yeah, man, I think that that will probably be the same scenario that I'll walk into. Number one, I'll have to pick your brain. I might even make you make a video on how to do so, because hey, let's be honest, Casey, we need to do a how-to video on old GBR. But let's do the how to make a removable delay box inside of your car. I know you have to put it on a trailer wire and somehow jump to the trans brake button for those of us who have to hit the trans brake to go into reverse. So definitely going to have you show me how to do it. And that I've got a BRG mount sitting right here ready to go for me to be able to just pull that bad boy out and disconnect the trailer wires and go bottom bulb racing, So again, it is something that I feel like, even in what you're saying here, I want to be able to enter both classes if that's something that I want to do. And I think old Mo can handle it too at the same time. So I'm looking forward to that, Casey, man. We got a couple top bubbers looking to change it up a little bit. Hopefully others in the stream and in the chat are thinking the same, I know we got quite a few bottom bubbers in here. I see Dylan Champion, definitely a bottom bubber. Make sure you catch his podcast, because it's pretty awesome to watch the old Dylan Champion podcast here on Going Bracket Racing. So make sure you catch that, man. You get a feel from a bottom bubber as well.
We might have a long one too this weekend, because he's talking about going to Jacksonville this weekend, and I'm planning on going to Wayne County on Friday. So he might show up and we'll video some stuff in Wayne County, and then he might go to Jacksonville the next day. We might have a lengthy track vlog coming up. I see him and I see actually Dylan Champion and Super Comp are talking about something with a trip on a scooter, and I don't know what they're talking about. He seems to think I do, but I don't know what he's talking about. He'll have to give me some ideas on that. But
yeah. And Ed, man, we got you there, man. This is definitely what we like to do here in this community. When we figure out things, I'm not that secretive to where I won't at least give you an understanding of where to start with your setup. And Ed's basically saying keep us posted on different car setups and mental approach between the two. He's never done electronics. That's very interesting, man. And when it comes to letting go off the top, I mean, I can help you with that right off the bat. You're going to have to help me off the bottom, Ed. So maybe we can just kind of trade a little bit of information here. Maybe I can get some from you. You get a little bit from me, man. I'd have to imagine, Casey, you can answer that question. However, the difference in between letting go on the bottom or foot braking and letting go on the top. Does your routine change quite a bit? I think I heard Dylan Champion mention this once or twice before as he made his vice versa transition from foot breaker to top bulb driver. What are your thoughts on the actual routine aspect of it, Casey?
So my thoughts are, and Dylan he reminded me of what that scooter story was, so don't let me forget about that. I'll tell that before this show's over. But so the hardest thing for me, being a top bulber for all this time, in my opinion, I think that all foot brake racers, and it's, people are maybe they'll think this is crazy, maybe they don't. I think every foot brake racer out there could be a better top bulb racer than the average top bulb racer. The reason I say that is a foot brake racer has to, in my experience, from my mild amount of experience that I have foot brake racing, a foot brake racer has a much higher ability to concentrate and to block other things out, because you got to think, man, let's say, just to make everything easy, you're dialed 6 flat and your man's dialed 7 flat, right? That means his tree is starting to come down and your tree starts to come down before he leaves. So you have his car leaving, his tree coming down while your tree's coming down while you're trying to get ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So they have a very high level of concentration that I think a lot of those guys don't fully understand. And that kind of brings me to the point of, why do you think Lucas Walker and Nick Hastings and Kevin Pollard and guys like that do so well in the top bulb categories? It's because of that level of concentration. They are forced to concentrate much more than a top bulb guy who's, now, yes, your top bulb guy, you have to have a very tight window. You're much tighter on the bulb than you are foot brake racing, but it's easier to do that because as soon as anything flashes, that's what you're doing.
Yep.
There is no, with crosstalk and all that stuff, there is no, oh, wait for my side to come on. Oh, I got to look across the tree. Like there's a lot more going on in foot brake than people give it credit for, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. Old Jim Balkert's got a good idea. Of course, says get yourself a foot pedal and put it to your practice tree. You'd at least be able to practice that part. Jim, I'm gonna be honest. I'm really not scared of the let go part. It's how the car is going to react is probably where I'm at the most. And then if I do leave at dead idle, will I have enough of a force to get me off the line with a decent enough reaction time? You know what I mean, Casey? And old Lorenzo Martin's over here talking too. Casey says hopefully next year he's going to try some top bulb racing. That's pretty neat, guys. We got a community. At least we've got a lot of people in this community. You got questions and we got answers. And if we can't find the answer, we know somebody who can find the answer and somebody else who can find it if they can't. So don't forget, we're right here just like you guys are as a kind of a one-stop shop. Get your entertainment and talk about bracket racing as well as get some ideas on what to do. But I had this piece of paper right here just to pull the old fast picture. He put that old blinder in his helmet and he does it for a reason. He don't want to see the other side of that tree. And I get it, but your comments have got to be spot on, Casey. The tree's coming down, the guy just left or vice versa. Man, that's got to take an extreme amount of concentration. And that in itself, as you said, Big Jed said, if you can bottom bulb race, you can be good at anything. It has to make you stronger out there no matter what.
And the thing is, there's no reason, in my opinion, if you have a back half style car or a car that goes like 550 or slower, maybe not. I mean, a tube chassis car would be really tough to cut a light. Kevin Pollard's the only person I've ever really seen do it with that fast of a car. I know Lucas's car is pretty fast, but I don't think it's strut front end, so it's got a decent amount of travel to hold them in there a little longer. But, if you have anything 6 seconds or slower and you're a top bulb guy, there's no reason to not make that a removable delay box, just simply because of, there are tracks out here that only run foot brake. And there are a lot of, like, for example, within, say, a 4-hour radius of my house, there's some major foot brake races, man. Like there's Loose Rocker has the Fall Foot Brake Frenzy, which is a staple out here. Michael Beard has the Carolina Foot Swap that's at Rockingham. Obviously, there's the WFC at Bristol. There's a couple bigger bottom bulb races, I think, in the Maryland area, things like that. So if you really want to race and you're not dedicated to top bulb stuff, the one thing that you can say for sure is that 99% of the time, whenever you're running a foot brake race, it's all door cars. So if you're worried about those dragsters, go back to the old school way, and there you go.
Yeah, true statement, because the only time we generally ever get separated is at big money bracket races. So you get a chance to swim in the same pond as your opponent where there isn't a dragster. You might get some of those old pesky Corvette Roadsters, but at least it's not a loan car, so definitely.
And even then, a lot of times, those are kind of what I was talking about, man. The Roadsters, you have to have the right driver in there and the exact right setup because they're so fast reacting because they're so light. I mean, you got to remember a tube chassis car is all dragster parts in a door car, essentially.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of you don't have a lot of suspension travel because a strut a strut only has like 3 inches of suspension travel total, except for these long travel struts and things they make for no prep cars now and stuff. But your average bracket car won't have those on there.
Right.
So it just takes, I mean, some of these guys like Kevin Pollard, I wonder if he's reacting to the light going out versus the yellow coming on, or maybe the green coming on, or whatever, because whenever you're going 5 teens and 520s, I just don't know how you can not red light. Foot braking.
I think I agree with that quite a bit too. And honestly, I know there's going to be more than one way to skin a cat there. You know, there's going to be multiple ways to figure that out and understand, you know, especially after, I'd say probably 5 to 10 hits on the bottom. You should at least understand where you are in proximity when you get your time slip in the data. So that's just the way I'm going to approach it. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to let go. If I'm mad red, I'm going to let go on the bottom when it's going off or whatever. I just feel like I have the ability to do so. I have foot braked before. That's the only type of racing I ever got to do was in my old 4-banger Cavalier. Yes, it had kind of a stutter or whatever you want to call it, a rev limiter at a certain point if the brake was mashed in far enough. But I think I am going to go after it, and I'm kind of confident, Casey. I think I can hit the tree on the top and the bottom pretty good. We're going to find out.
Well, yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it, man. And the reason I say that is because the reason I say that is because I think a lot of people, again, I'll go back to what I said before. Top bulbers don't give foot brakers enough credit, because when you're stalling a car up and stuff too, I mean, say your car with, I don't know, say just generic numbers, say, you know, 10 RPM is 10 hundredths or something, you know, just for easy math. The fact of the matter is, if you stall it a little higher, because you got to hold it there on that stall that whole time when that tree's coming down and you're getting antsy to go and all this stuff. If you're 100 or 200 RPM higher or lower, it's going to greatly affect your reaction time. And it's going to change the entire race because you were getting antsy. I mean, for a top bulber, once you let go of that button and you mat that pedal, then it is what it is at that point. Yeah. Like, I mean, it affects a lot of things that people don't realize. So I think that foot brakers don't get the credit that they deserve, and I'm glad you're seeing a lot more of these big foot brake races showing up. And the thing that I also like about it is most of them are in that $5 and $10 grand range, you know. Right. So there's still, all that is 1990s racing for the most part. You know, that's 1990s big money racing right there. And that's what I like. And that's what really drew me to the whole foot brake scene more than anything, was like, man, for example, the reason I know this is because I was just looking at the flyer. Staging light, Michael Beard's race at Rockingham, 310s for $300 or $350, one or the other. But either way, even if it's $350, $125 a day to run 310s, all door cars, all foot brake. You know, that's a good deal, man. That's in my price range. I can afford that, you know.
Man. Yeah. And like you said, man, I just need a reason to get up to that mountain too. Man, I just want to race on the mountain. It would be easier for me to do if I were foot braking, considering how far it is. And I just think my wife she loves the mountains. She loves that type of a situation. And shouts out to her, by the way. She really kept me in a good groove, considering the last conversation we had, Casey, about wives and bracket racing and what is the best way to get them in. She kept me in a good groove this week. You know, I might be out of the groove just a touch, and she's good enough to catch it and say, you need to move over a little bit or whatever the case, and give me my fist bump, because I need my fist bump. All right, and then I'm ready to go after that. So. Yeah, man, it's definitely something I've got to do. I've said I'm going to do it. I'm going to document when I do it. Just don't nobody laugh at me. But don't be shocked, Casey. Don't be shocked if I turn on a few lower reaction times. You know how I am with a tree, man. So don't be shocked if I knock it down. That's all I got to tell you.
Let me tell you this. I got to tell you this story, man, before I forget. So first day I meet Dylan Champion was actually at Wayne County Drag Strip during the Roger Rhodes race, and just so happened to park next to him. Also, that's how I met old Alan and Justin too. I parked right in the middle of both these guys. Some were on one side, some were on the other side. And I walk over, they got Champ's car all jacked up or whatever, and they're looking under there or whatever and trying to figure out what's wrong. And I'm like, what's wrong with this thing? And I'm looking under there, shifter cable's broke. Like it's just in the middle, sometimes inside the sheathing, the all it is steel cable, and it's all peeled apart. You can't see it. So long story short, I think Kenny Smith had one at his house, and he lives like 5-10 minutes down the road from there. So Dylan rode this scooter all the way to Kenny's house to get a get a shifter cable, to come back, put the shifter cable in to go up for the next round. So that's the scooter story he's talking about.
Pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Hey, I carry one of those in the car now. Hopefully I don't have that problem anymore, in the trailer. So, nah, man.
There's always something.
There is always something, like a broken rack. I did not expect to not be able to run second round because of that, especially after, like I said, after getting the wind light. And I'm telling you what, I've been struggling for wind lights out there at Extreme Raceway Park. The guys are hard on me out there. The last time out, I think I lost by a total of 20 altogether, every single round. Each round I lost by a hun, and finally I'm getting some wind lights, and I was talking to Vince Taylor, and he says, man, you won. And I gave a fist bump, and I'm like, yeah, you got one. I'm like, it's about dang time I got one out here. It's been a while to get back to the pits and run into some junk like that. So it is what it is. And again, I am very glad that I didn't run into a definitely a lot worse of a situation. You know what I mean?
That's right, man. So what I want to ask you then, because this is going to be your first race you've streamed on your own and everything like that. I know you've done some work with Motor Mania and stuff like that, but what do you look for at this, man? I know Ryan's the manager of the bracket program over there at Texas Motorplex, I believe it is. Ryan did say, by the way, something I also want to shout out, if you're worried about it being hot, he said he's opening the media center for everybody to go in there and soak up some AC. So don't let that stop you from going racing this weekend if you're worried about how hot it's going to be, because he's going to have that open. He said just hopefully everybody will have the respect of keeping it clean, making sure that, he's doing a nice thing for you. Let, reciprocate. Throw all your trash in the trash. Don't leave stuff out there. But back to what I was asking though. What I guess what are your feelings on this whole deal, man?
I might be quite a few nerves come Saturday. I've had the setup for a little while. I've had the information that I need, the notes that I've taken, the videos that I took. I've had a background. Again, thank you, Motor Mania TV. I'm not gonna stop saying that. I promise you I won't. I might even put it into the GBR media kind of introduction as a thank you to Motor Mania TV, because it's not possible without them in the first place. Yes, I understand kind of some things to do with what we've been doing here with GBR, Casey, going bracket racing the show, and so it's more of a troubleshooting kind of pit nerve. I've tested my internet connection. I've tested all my cameras. I've tested how to pull the PA system into my RV over and over again. Not going to let out any secrets that I know, simply because I'm just not going to. So definitely a little nervous about, just the what ifs. I don't like what ifs, George Hoff. I don't like them. It is what it is. I'm not a what if type of person. And so I try to eliminate my what ifs as quickly as possible, because the sooner you know how to get around it, the better. Don't be shocked if I don't have my camera moving on all angles from the motion. Number one, it's going to be hot. Number two, this is the first time, so it is a test. I'm going to be in and out of that motorhome, up and down off of that scaffold. If things are running smoothly, definitely towards the later rounds, I will have all cameras moving. My wife is also going with me, so she's going to be the one behind the controls. If I hear somebody not taking it easy on her, I got a pretty big muscle. I might have to throw somebody in a chokehold. But that's that's about it, Casey. I'm looking forward to it though, man. Yeah, a big step for GBR, you know.
Yeah, man, it's going to be really cool to see what happens with it, and I'm sure that it'll all go well. I'm sure there'll be a little hiccups, man, but it ain't anything you can't handle. I know you're the biggest nerd that I know, so
Thank you for that. I accept. I accept. All right. No, man, it's been a good one, and shout out to Ryan Gleghorn as well for allowing me the ability to come out and stream the 23 bracket series, and whoever wins it, good job, and I wish I was out there with you. I guess it must have been fate since my cars broke the week before. I was going to race that in that race and maybe even stream and race at the same time, but hey, other plans. So, yeah, man, that's about it, Casey. What you got in closing, dude? Because we made it to the hour. I mean, we're at the hour now. Huh.
man, just as usual, man, we always got to thank the people who make this free every single weekend, man. TSR Racing Products, Crew Chief Pro Software, Proform Parts. Get you a carburetor over there. Comes out the box pretty good already, man. I've got proof of it. So come over and talk to me about it. We'll get you hooked up. BRG 3D printed parts, driven racing oil. Don't forget to use that code GBR10. Syntex Printing, Ken Jones Performance, Team 14 Motorsports. Other than that, man, I guess we'll see him next Tuesday. Don't forget to tune in to GBR on what, Saturday and Sunday, right?
Saturday and Sunday, guys. As always, pay attention to the time. As the moment that I can go live, however, I will be live. Okay. I don't have a lot of options as far as for a practice to be able to show product of what GBR Media can produce, and so I'm gonna soak up every single second of that. So I would say see you next Tuesday. I will see you next Tuesday, but hopefully I'll see all you guys on Saturday for a little bit of live bracket racing action. Thanks for joining us. As always, remember to hit that like, share, subscribe, bring your family in. We are family friendly. Bring your kids in. It's a good place for them to get in and kind of know what's going on bracket racing wise. You don't have to worry about too many cuss words flying around here. We may have had a couple fly every now and then, but maybe not out of mine and Casey's mouth. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys later. Have a good one.